Okay, so, you know what's interesting, is this like any other doctor visit you've ever been to?
No.
Aren't I the funniest? No. You know, a lot of doctors are like serious, okay? And so I like to kind of, I mean, I'm really blessed because my job now is really giving new life. You know, I used to be a trauma surgeon. I would talk to people about cancer. I would say, your son's been in a car wreck and he's never coming back. I mean, it was a terrible, sad, serious business. And I enjoyed it in a way, but it wasn't like this. This is kind of fun because everybody's kind of getting better, you know? So it's a really fun job. So I hope you can see that I enjoy what I do and I kid around and we play around, things like that. So one day in clinic, a lady asked me, you know, she raised her hand and she said, "Can I drink Diet Coke?" And I said, "No." And she looked really grim and glum and sad, and I said, "You know, it's funny to me. I see heavy people every day. And they come to me when I meet with you privately. The story as we talk is always the same. Dr. Rutledge, I'm sad. Dr. Rutledge, my life is terrible. You can't imagine how awful my life is as an obese person. I can't do this. I can't play with the kids. I don't get a promotion in my job. I don't see other people. I can't walk up the stairs. You know, my life is terrible." And I've tried everything, and there's often tears. And they, you know, you, Dr. Rutledge, could never imagine how terrible it is. And then they say this: "I would give anything. I would give my right arm if I could lose this weight. I would do anything I could." And I say, "Well, just stop. No problem. I've got a simple operation. No problem. You'll be out the next day. You just have to, you know, avoid Coca-Cola and alcohol and cigarettes." And they go, "Oh, I couldn't do that." Wait a minute. Just a minute ago, you cut off your right arm, but you won't give up Diet Coke? So, you know, I tell people, okay, now here's the deal. We're going to cure you. We're going to take off 100+ pounds. We're going to let you run up the stairs. We're going to cure your diabetes. We're going to let you live on average, we guess, of maybe 10 or 15 years longer life. We're going to make it enjoyable instead of being stuck at home. We're going to stop sticking yourself with needles. But you have to drink Gatorade. And then people go, "Oh, I can't do it." If you had a heart transplant, and I said, "You got to drink Gatorade or your heart transplant's going to die." If I said you had a kidney transplant, you got to drink Gatorade, otherwise your kidney transplant will die and you'll go back on dialysis 8 hours a day, 3 times a week, you know what I bet you'd say? "Hand me some Gatorade." I don't care if it's urine, you know, I mean, I do not want to go back on dialysis. I'm drinking.
I drink that Gatorade, I'm like, give me that Gatorade.
Yeah. So it is hard and there are other things. But the flip side, though, is, you know, it's part of the deal. This is going to sound a little strong, and I beg your forgiveness, but I don't care if you like it. Yeah. Do you want the MGB? You can't have it without kind of the Gatorade. If you don't do that, you're going to suffer harm. You're going to fall over. You're going to pass out. Your car will go off the road. Something, if you remain dehydrated. So you have to kind of, you know. And now it doesn't have to be Gatorade. Gatorade's nothing magic. It's some salt and sugar and some potassium and water. So there are other ways to do it. But another way to put it in a kind of a slightly...
Yeah, I hate Gatorade too, but I drink it. MV8, I love it now. I learned to love it.
It's really a critical part of your day. And
are other things like Powerade the same?
They're not exactly. And Gatorade, in fact, isn't the same as it was invented. They filled it with a lot of high fructose corn syrup and things like that. But don't hesitate to try them and different things. The key thing you're looking for there is not a secret. It's just salt. So you can get Gatorade by a cracker and water, if you can go for that. But you can't avoid those things. That amount of sodium has to go back in because the surgery is so tremendously powerful, taking stuff out.
So is it the salt, or is it the liquid, or is it both?
It's both. But, interestingly, as Heidi says, how could you, if you're dehydrated, what does that mean? It means not hydrated water, right? Okay, so let me go back I'll tell you that many years ago, back when we operated outdoors in tents, with kerosene lamps. Many years ago, I was a trauma surgeon, and I would teach residents about trauma. And I'll tell you a teaching scenario that I gave to my residents. Okay, you're in the ER with me. You're my new surgical resident. We just got a call. The ambulance is on the way in with a guy with a gunshot wound to the belly. His blood pressure is 80. We turn to our nursing staff, our assistants, and we say, quick, get me 2 bags of IV fluid. And the nurse, who's a new nurse, says, what should I give you, doctor? Saline or D5W?
So,
And if we give him D5W by mistake, he dies. Because dehydration needs the sodium to keep the water in the blood. And that's because inside of us are 2 partitions of water. Almost all the water in our body is in the cells, and a small amount, only about 5 quarts of the 72 quarts inside of us, is in the blood. All the water in the cells is highly concentrated with potassium, and all the water in the bloodstream is concentrated with sodium. So if I want to resuscitate my gunshot wound victim, I give him salt water. If he were to drink water alone, he would not be resuscitated, and you would not be resuscitated as effectively. And sometimes just salt alone will pull water from the cells and rehydrate you until you can take care of things later.
As far as the cracker and water is concerned, you said it's a balance between sugar and salt. Is there like the carbs in the cracker count as the sugar? Is that how it
Right.
works?
Here's where Gatorade came from. Let's suppose we asked specialists to grade the greatest developments in healthcare in world history as far as number of lives saved. Many people would say the invention of a sugar salt solution called oral rehydration solution might be the greatest development mankind has ever come up with. Because so many people die in third world countries of a diarrheal disease like cholera. Cholera is an infection in the colon which causes loss of fluid, so much that you dehydrate to death. Now in America, if you got some kind of illness like cholera, you went to Mexico and got a problem, you would be admitted to the hospital. They'd give you a sterile needle, a sterile bag of IV fluid to keep up with you until you cured yourself of the cholera. In Bangladesh, in Central Africa, in lots of Southeast Asia, there is no hospital. There's no doctor. There's no sterile needle, there's no IV tubing, and there's no sterile water. Those children and adults are dying, and the solution is a solution of a small amount of sugar, a small amount of sodium, a small amount of potassium, and we call it Gatorade. So around the world, that Gatorade is saving lives. Now, the guy who invented Gatorade in the United States is a guy named Robert Cade. He was my teacher of nephrology at the University of Florida. And we asked him, he would come out and he would tell us how he invented Gatorade. And he said he had a voice a lot like Truman Capote. And he was a short little man who looked like Truman Capote. And we always thought he was going to talk like this because he was saying, well, we went out and saw the boys on the field. And we took our tongue depressors and we got their sweat. And we took it into the lab, we measured the sweat, and we made some sterile sweat. And the next day we went out and we gave it to the boys to drink. And they said, oh, this tastes like piss. So we added some sugar, and that's Gatorade. Now, does it taste great? Maybe not, but it is life-saving. It is game-winning in a football game. And in our MGB patients and around the world, it takes babies who are going to die and gives them their life back, purely by a little bit of Gatorade.
So should you not have the sugar-free kind? Just have the
Absolutely do not have the sugar-free kind. Now, let's talk. This is another. That's a really good question. Okay, we're going to talk about sugar-free here for a second.